Hey everyone, it is good to be on here today, and one of the things that we're going to discuss is how to use the Obsidian Web Clipper. So, one of the things that you would actually be wondering is why would I want something to clip the web? Well, just trying to be funny, but one of the things that you can do with the Obsidian Web Clipper is you can take any type of website or any type of blog or something like that, and you can actually get the information that you need and actually export it or import it, however you want to word it, into your Obsidian note taking app. So, one of the things that we want to just really get into is how to install this, on your browser and how to go from there. So one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to use Google Chrome to actually get the Obsidian web browser. Then we're going to create our own template, with this particular web browser clip extension, and then we're going to just show how to kind of modify it so you can use it for your own purposes. So the very first thing that we want to do is we want to go to, Google Chrome, and I already have it up right now. You can actually go to the Google Web Store to get this, but we're going to use the actual web browser to get there. So if you go right here at the top right hand corner of your page, you should see the three dots, and we already know that's your option section. If you click on it, it's going to give you a list of things to actually, select. So we want to go down to extensions, and from extensions, we want to go down to manage extension, and then we can just go to visit, the Chrome Web Store. So we want to go to the Chrome Web Store. So when you go here, it's going to actually bring up the Google, Web Store, and this is where you get pretty much a lot of your themes and a lot of your extensions. So what we want to do from here is we want to go to the Obsidian Web Clipper right there, and it should look like this. So when you click on it, it should actually, instead of saying remove from Chrome, it should say add to the Chrome browser. So if you actually don't already have it, you should be able to click it, and it should be this one right here. And once you do that, what you will get from there is you're going to actually wind up with, I'm going to do this, you're going to wind up with this icon, and it's going to actually say that it's the Obsidian Web, Clipper. So what we're going to do when we are actually right there, we're actually going to go from, just seeing that particular icon, and we're going to install this onto our, you know, web browser. So from here, what you can do, you don't want to do that. I'm gonna go ahead, and I've already got like what they call the Bible, gateway website up. So just say we wanted to get this information here, we need to actually configure our web clipper first to be able to do so. So one of the things we want to do is you go here to the icon, and instead of doing any of this stuff you see already, we're going to go ahead and go to the settings part, and that's going to be at your top right hand corner of the drop down menu that drops down, and you're going to go to the cogwheel as they call it, and go to settings, and you're going to get to this part here. So from here, we're going to actually look at a couple of things. We're going to look at the very first thing that you see right now, and that is the general section. We're going to look at how to add more vaults, and I'll kind of cover some of the other things that you can do, but we want to make sure that you can add more vaults, and then we're also going to actually create a template. I already had a new one, I'm going to delete that one, but we're going to add ourselves a new template, and from there we're going to actually set it up and have it where we can actually move stuff into the vault that we want it to go to. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you're on the very first thing in the settings, because if you go to these others, you have like properties. That's kind of like your properties of metadata and stuff. And then we have like how the highlighter will work. Then we have the interpreter. So I don't usually use any of that stuff. So when you're in the general, it asks you for these several things. The one thing that you would want to mess with if you actually going to create your own and actually put it on your own Obsidian program, what you want to do is you want to add your vault information right there. So make sure whatever you have your actual vault name, make sure that it's exactly spelled and, capitalized or lowercase exactly the same, because if not, it will treat it as a different vault. So just like how we have the mock, CMZ right here, if I were to actually try to, use like a capital O, so M and a capital O, and go from there and put that in there, the way the web clipper will view it, it will view it as being a second vault. So you always want to make sure that you got the right spelling. So if I were to put test, if I do that and I press enter, now I would actually have the test vault that would be created. And if I had a test vault on Obsidian, it would actually, try to create a, folder within there. But I'm going to go ahead and delete that. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to the new template button. And when we click on it, we're going to click, create a new template. So for right here, we got several things. We got, one of the things is the new name. And I'm going to just, instead of saying new vault, I'm going to, new template, I'm going to call it a test template. Test template. So if you notice over here, it changes the name of what this template is, and it will be imported in a few minutes, and I'll show you what that is. Then your behavior. If you were to click on it, it gives you several things that you can do right here. One of the things that you can do is add to existing notes at the bottom. So if you're inside Obsidian, you have notes already taken. If you were to web clip something, it would automatically drop all your information down at the very bottom of that particular note. Then it would go to the top with this option. Then if you have daily notes, which is like a core plugin in Obsidian, it would add it at the bottom, and then the same at the top. And then right here is one that would be very destructive, but you can overwrite a note. So if you already had some notes already created and you own one particular note, this particular function will overwrite that note with whatever web clipping that you have. And I wouldn't want to go with that one at all. So we're going to keep it at the default, create a new note. So now you see like the note name, and you see these brackets right here. Well, this syntax right here is what they call the preset verbals. Variables. See, I knew I was going to mess it up, but this right here is like the preset variables that you can use that is already set up with Obsidian. And when you use these particular ones, I'm going to go ahead and show you real quick. If you go in here, it's going to give you the options of some of the variables that's already preset. So you see, as you got all of this here, if you were to actually go and use this, any of this right here, it would actually put it in these particular sections, and Obsidian would know how to read it. You just need to know how or what you're actually putting it within the little context box or whatever, because you may want to put an image there, and yes, it would put an image there, but it may read incorrectly because it's going to be in the wrong section of Obsidian. So what we want to do is we want to go back, and I would leave it the way it is. And what this is going to pull from, it's going to actually use a lot of times the name of that particular website or that particular blog or whatever that you have. So you have that. Then right here, your note locations, we have clippings right here. So if you were to keep that right there, that would, and I'm going to actually do so because I'm going to show you how that can work later, but you have clippings, and that would go there. Now when you go to your vault, it actually said the last use. So matter of fact, I'm going to change the location right here. So I'm going to say test clips. That way, when we actually go into the vault, you'll see that we have this particular thing, created. It hadn't been created before. So we have that. And then it's like the last use. That's pretty much the last vault that you use as you open up Obsidian and been working in it. So you also have the options to go to some that you already have. But if you feel confident that you're in the right one, just make sure it's the last one used. Now this one here, the template trigger, it's supposed to be where you can go to a particular website, and if that website is, pulled up. So just say you on CNN as far as the news is concerned. If you were to go to there and you had that information here, then it would do some different, functions. I, don't use this, but you may find this would be great for your workflows. So this is a place here. And then like you add properties, this is kind of like, again, a place for your metadata and your properties per se. So if you want to add your titles and stuff, you can do that right there. And then right here, your content. This is literally going to be any and everything that's on the website unless you go back and edit it up. And you can actually add more stuff in here. So even though you have all the information that's going to be on that one page of your website that you web clipping, you can actually put some more information down here if you want to. But that's pretty much, how you would create, this template. So now what we want to do is we actually want to get this to work. So right now you're seeing John, the book of John, chapter 14, and we have all this information here. It's like the entire, chapter 14 of John. So just say, for instance, I want to input this into my Obsidian Vault. What I would do is I would go up here and I would click on the web clipper. And as I click on the web clipper, we have several things that comes up. One of the things you see right here is your templates. So if I click on it, we have the test template and we have the one that I've already had, created. So we have that. Then we have this here. It's talking about the page variables. I never use this. So, you can use it if you want to, but if you were to click on it, what it's going to do is going to have all this information just like so. I never use it and stuff. So then you have the highlighter, and then you have what it says open in page. I call it pretty much like a modified page option and stuff. And then you have the settings that we were just in. If you go down here, you actually have your vaults. So if you click on it, it gives you the vaults that you already have on your in Obsidian at the time. And then this right here is the actual folder that all this information is going to go into. And if we were to click add to Obsidian, it would at this point take anything that is within this block that I'm scrolling up and down right here all the way down. It would take all of this information and it would transfer it over to your Obsidian Vault. So one of the things that I would actually tell you to do is we're going to kind of mess with, some of this stuff, and then you can see for yourself if you want to use it. One of the things that you can do is we'll go to enable highlighter and you click on it, you get this information that says select elements to highlight. So from here, you can see particular blocks is being highlighted with the yellow block around it. So if you were to actually go, just say for instance, we're going to highlight verse 5 here. When I click on it, it's going to say, Thomas said to the Lord, Lord, we do not know where you're going. How can we know the way? If we were to click on this now and then go back up to the web clipper icon, we will see some information. So when we click here, it's going to take just that information. If I don't do anything else, it will save it exactly the way that you see it. And it says all of that will go to this test clip folder and it will go straight to Obsidian. We also have options to clip the highlights and we can actually get rid of it. So one of the things I'm going to do, I'm going to just, get rid of it because I want to show you a whole lot more from this. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to disable the highlight function. So now the other thing that you have is this is, again, it says open in page, but I like to call it the modified page section. And it gives you an easier, bigger window to do some modifications to anything that you see on this particular, site. So one of the things that we can actually do in here is just say, for instance, I don't want this here. I can highlight it like so and delete it. And then we can, add it to Obsidian that way. So we have that option. But then I don't want to do that. So I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to do the normal, function that I usually use this for. And I'm going to show you where I'm going to save this at. So right now, I'm going to go to the web clipper. I'm going to make sure everything is there. When we go to the, the actual vault that is here, it's going to go to this test clips. and it's going to add to Obsidian to show you what's going on. Right now, if you see my particular vault, right now I have my vault name is the mock CMZ Fool. So when it actually, if you notice, we do not have a test clip, folder created. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to minimize this again, go back here, and I'm going to add it to Obsidian. When we get ready to add it, it's going to give you the name and the long drawn out ID for this particular, extension. If you do not trust it, do not use it. But I know that this particular extension is, safe and stuff. It's going to ask you, do you want to always allow it to do so? I really don't, because you never know if something try to compromise your PC or any device that you have. So I always leave that off. But then you can go to open Obsidian. And so when you do so, it's going to open up your Obsidian Vault, and it's going to have that particular, note created. Now, here's the thing. When you actually have this created and stuff, what you will have is you'll have that particular folder is now created. The test clips is here. And then we have all the notes right here, so it can be viewed. So now what I can actually do, I can do any of my editing however I want to and go from here. So now you've seen one of the ways to do that. But one of the other things I want to do, I'm going to go ahead and delete this. I'm going to delete all of that. I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to use one of my templates that I already had. So if you were to already have a template for your clips, make sure I'm showing you right. And it's going to be a little different. But my particular web clipping, I'm using, one of my processes, and I hope you get a chance to see what I have. It's called the mock CMZ. And when I'm doing what is called a permanent note, when I actually do so, it's going to actually have the title of that particular note, and inside my note it's going to have the title, and then I can have a place to put references and stuff. So this information here is going to be added to the the website that we're just viewing. So I'm going to go ahead and close this, minimize it. So then I'm going to go ahead and instead of using this particular template right here, I'm going to go to the one that I call the fleeting note. And if you notice right now, I have some of my properties or metadata, as some people call it. I have all of that, and it automatically populated all this information that is pertaining to this website. So when I do so, if you see right here, it's going to go to this fleeting notes, section right here. And if I add it to Obsidian, it's going to ask me the same thing, and it's going to populate it here. And if you notice, that particular note is now in my fleeting notes folder, and it's giving me all the information that is part of that particular, permanent note that you've seen as far as the template is concerned. And you see that now it's got the name of that particular website. And at the bottom of all of this, it should have, the footnotes and everything else here. So that's pretty much how to use the Obsidian Web Clipper. And I hope that this was extremely helpful to you.